Gluten Tag, guys. My name is Alex and I'm the Wolf. In the last video, we already looked at why you should work out and why you should do resistance training. And today we will look at what a beginner workout routine could look like. We will look at the right technique for the exercises in a separate video because that would just be too much for this one video. But first up, which muscles do you want to train? And the guys might now say,
I want big arms and a big chest.
and the girls might say,
I only want to train my booty and my abs.
but I would suggest that you train everything. Train everything does not mean training everything the same amount. So you can have a workout routine that's focused more on upper body or more on lower body. But just skipping muscle groups and movement patterns altogether is not a good idea. Now, the next question is, how do you split your training? Maybe you've heard of a bro split, where you
Train chest and biceps on Monday. On Tuesday I train shoulders and abs. I don't train legs.
or maybe you've even heard of a push, pull and legs split. And these plans can work great, but for a beginner I would recommend a full body workout routine where you train your whole body every day you train. Short disclaimer here, if you're doing, for example, a bro split and you really enjoy it and you really put the time and effort in and you like it, then that is more important than being optimal. But why should you do a full body training split? First of all, when you just start training, you don't need to train your muscles all that much, because even training a little bit is more than you used to do before. Second of all, with a full body split, you can easily train just 1 or 2 times a week and it works fine. Because let's be honest, when you're just starting this new habit, you don't want to make time for it 5 times a week. Now you might think, well, I can train just 1 or 2 times with every training split. And you can do that, that is correct. But some training splits are just designed for people that work out 5, 6 or even 7 times a week. And if you use those when you're just training 1 or 2 times a week, you can end up training your muscle groups only once every 2 weeks or even less. And your muscle protein synthesis is only active for about 48 to 72 hours after your workout. And you can see that if you just train your muscle groups every 2 weeks once, then there's a lot of time in between where you don't grow, but where you could grow. Don't get me wrong, you can still achieve a great physique and build a lot of muscle doing it the not so optimal way, but why not just start with a full body and progress to, for example, a bro split later on. So now let's look at what you should do in your full body training session. There are a few movement patterns that should be included in every training routine. And these movement patterns are mostly represented by the compound lifts. So compound lifts are just exercises that involve more than one joint and most of the time a huge amount of muscle. And after you've done your compound lifts, you can feel free to do whatever you feel like. Probably
Curls.
So now let's start with these movement patterns in no particular order. First up, we got the upper body pull. If you don't want to train your upper body all that much, then any pulling movement will do. Otherwise, you can distinguish the pulling movements into vertical and horizontal pulling movements. For the vertical pulling movements, examples would be a pull-up or a lat pull-down. And for horizontal pulling movements, you have all sorts of rows, so barbell rows or inverted rows. Next up, we got the upper body pushing movements. You can look at those the same as we did before with the pulling movement. You have also vertical and horizontal pushing movements. So a vertical pushing exercise would be an overhead press or a handstand push-up, and a horizontal pulling movement or pulling exercise would, for example, be the bench press or the classic push-up. Next up, we got a hip hinge. So this will be an exercise where most of the work will be done by your glutes and by your hamstrings. And most likely these are also the exercises where you can use or move the most amount of weight. And examples here would be a deadlift or a glute bridge, a hip thrust, And last but not least, we got a squatting type of movement. So basically a squat. Of course, there are also other great movement patterns and exercises, for example, the lunge, and so many more. But for the start, I would stick to those mentioned before because they are easy to do. You don't need a lot of equipment or stuff, whatever, to do them, and they involve a huge amount of muscle. In which order you do the movements in your training routine depends on what you value the most. Because at the start of the training you have a lot more energy, so the first 1 or 2 exercises probably get a lot more intense than the ones afterwards. If you want, you can also have a few different full body training days. I would advise you though to keep the variation to a minimum, because learning 6 exercises is a lot easier than learning 12 or 20 exercises all at the same time. For the sake of this video, I've designed 3 different starter training plans. One that is more upper body dominant, one that is lower body dominant, and one that you can do at home without any equipment. With the first 2 training plans, I've also split them into 2 different days. Now let's look at the upper body focused plan. On day 1, we got a warm-up, then pull-ups, then overhead press, and then Romanian deadlifts, and afterwards you can do your accessories. And on day 2, we got warm-up, rows, bench press, squat, and then your accessories. Now for the lower body focus plan, on day 1 we got warm-up, Romanian deadlifts, hip thrusts, and then push-ups, and then your accessories. And on day 2 we got squat, hip thrusts, rows, and then your accessories. And for the training plan without any equipment, where we just got 1 day, you got your warm-up, then squats, then inverted rows, then push-ups and glute bridges, and then you can once again do your accessories. We will look at the finer details of these plans in the next video. That's all for today. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please leave me a like and subscribe. You're also very welcome to leave me some criticism in the comments. This was Fahad. Thanks for watching. We will look at the right technique. Okay. Did I? No. Muscle protein synthesis. Yes, I said that correctly. So now let's look at what you should do in your creature chair. There are a few, and you can, oops. On day 1 we got my balls.